Esther having been taken out 3 times now, and I think it is safe to say that Squin has fallen. We went through there and there wasn't that many Shek, so we continued on our way up to Admech. This should be the Shek's last true holdout and our chance to kill off the Shek and take out the Mountain. The Mountain is going to be a fairly decent opponent, but irony or joke being, with the hard gen mod, it means that his stats are actually going to be lower than a lot of the Vincibles, and he has worse kit than them, other than his May2 Fragment Axe, which is going to cause a crazy amount of damage. And we won't be using that Fragment Axe ourselves, but you know, we can always put it into our museum of our other May2 trophies as such. We do need to be careful here though in Admech, because there is a lot of Invincibles, there is a lot of 100 Guardians and a bunch of other Sheks kicking about. So we are going to try to stick towards the front gate at the moment. The idea is going to be they have to come through 1 or 2 channels, so we should be able to bring superior numbers against them as they'll be coming in piecemeal. If we start going in and they start aggroing out of the shops and out of the other buildings, we are going to be in for a very bad time, because these Shek are pretty tough and we had the 5 times attack slots open, so that means that we can have 5 Shek attacking one of our guys. The first 5 or so can hold their own against 2, maybe 3 Shek. One-on-one, most of our guys will struggle against Invincibles because those guys are super tough, super thick, very well trained, very well equipped, and hit like absolute freight trains. The plan is we've started clearing each building as we have gone through. The plan with that, and there's a lot of plans in a row, but is to stop anyone being able to come out behind us. So if for whatever reason we have to disengage or run away or retreat or fall back, depending on how you want to call it, there won't be things behind us and we don't get surrounded on all sides, which would be a pretty bad situation for us to be in. But as you can see, we have gone through and we've been able to wipe out pretty much everything in the bars, the barracks, the prison, all of those sort of places. We've taken them down, so there is a lot less Shek around now than there was, but we need to keep moving forward and still being careful because these Shek are pretty tough. Yeah, their stats up in the 80s makes them a very, very dangerous foe. We do have some incredibly good equipment and stats ourselves, so we are able to one-shot most things. But as soon as like Invincibles come in, which who I think are probably over here from all the red coming up here, so there's 2 Invincibles there, which is ideal because when they're in a horde they are super difficult to take down. But if we can bring multiple of ours against them, then they don't stand much of a chance because they have heavy weapons, and heavy weapons basically aren't very good when fighting multiple things at the same time. So we'll do the old trick of stripping them of their weapon, taking their armor off. We leave them with the leg pants and the boots because that will slow them down, and then this way they are not going to be as much of a threat when they get back up. But it also gives our guys a chance for when they are fighting them to increase their stats like crazy. Pushing through the town, we have stayed towards the low ground. The reason for this is towards the top is the faction HQ, and the faction HQ is going to be all of the Invincibles, and there should probably be about 8 of them left, and that is not a fight we want to take right now because even if we win, most of our guys would take such a kick in that they'll be pretty much useless against the rest of the Shek. So the plan is to try to thin their numbers first, so we're going low. Also means the Shinobi Thieves can't come up behind us. We've also been able to go around and hit most of the shops, so the shop guards are out, the shopkeepers are out as well, so as you can see, nice and safe. So we don't need to worry about being surrounded at the moment or being outflanked, and we're going to keep going. This is the last Shek holdout on the low ground. Once this is done, we will move up and take out the faction HQ. We know they're going to be running low on numbers, so we don't need to worry about fighting an Invincible with a bunch of 100 Guardians around it in support, because that is pretty much a death sentence. But like this, we are just fighting 100 Guardians. 100 Guardians, yes, they are tough, they're well trained, they're equipped, but they are not a match for us. Their heavy weapons, earlier on, maybe 4 episodes ago, were causing us an absolute havoc and a bad time. If that makes sense, words. Congratulations, Gonzi, learn to smack properly. But where they are using heavy weapons, their attack speed is super slow. We're using fairly high dexterity based weapons, which means we can get our attacks off before they can, and we are not getting chained, so we're looking like we are in a nice little situation right now. Lowlands are secure and time to move up, take out the faction HQ. That means we're going to hit the last of the Invincibles and then take down the mountain. This should put the Shek out of the fight. The faction HQ has a lot less Invincibles in it than I thought, and we also have the mountain at the front gate, who is going to go down super quickly. We are absolutely tearing through Admech. I thought this was going to be a lot tougher of a fight than it is at the moment, but I guess our guys have been increasing and training like crazy, which is basically what we've been doing for the last 4 episodes, just trying to get our guys in a situation where we can take on the United Cities. I figured if we can take out the Czech, at least maybe we can start skirmishing with the United Cities, but with how we are carving through this, I think the United Cities are not long left for the world of Kenshi, and we should be able to crush them nice and quickly. The plan with the United Cities is pretty simple. We are just going to go around, hit the farms, hit the slave farms, the mines, all of that good stuff, so we can just mess up their stats. Once their stats start to drop, we can move our way to taking out a couple towns. Admech has now fallen. We are returning back to base. We also have the mountain with us, and due to a very good recommendation, and with all of Esther's escapes and then returns, it has been decided that if we just kill the mountain, then we don't need to worry about him returning. So the plan with that is we are going to head everyone else back up to base, like I said. Then we are going to take Peter, who has the mountain. We're going to bring him across, drop the mountain off in the black desert, so all of the acid will eventually kill him, and then with that dead body we are going to go and put it into a cage, given to one of the Inquisitors as such. This way we know that he will not return, and then if he does come back for whatever reason, we know that it is a bug and not some sort of Kenshi mechanic that we have missed along the way. Operation Crippled United Cities is underway, but what we have done is we've pulled Peter down to have a little look around, squint, see what has happened, see what's changed, what hasn't, what has, all of that fun stuff. Turns out not much. There is still the Invincibles that are just about holding on. They are just too dumb to realise that they're actually dead, and yeah, no new Invincibles have respawned, thankfully. There are a bunch more 100 Guardians, but they fell pretty quickly. And then with the rest of the Adventurer squad, they are all heading up to Okran's Shield. From Okran's Shield, we're going to go there, regroup, and then we are going to push into the United Cities territory. Everyone is now pretty much healed up the best that we can. They only have a couple beds in Okran's Shield, so it took a little bit longer than we would have liked to get everyone in tip-top fighting state. So we are going to swing by towards Stoke. We're going to have a little look around, see what is happening, see if it's in a situation where we will be able to attack it. If not, we will continue hitting the slave farms, slave mines, and trying to cause as much havoc as we can in the back lines of the United Cities. Then when they are sufficiently weakened, we will then go around and start picking fights. I think it is going to be safe to say that we are not in a situation where we could take on Stoke right now. Some of these guards have very good stats. Some of them have stats up in the 80s, which is going to make it very, very difficult for us to take down. We only have a couple guys with our own stats up in the 80s, so most of our guys wouldn't even be able to fight any of these in a straight up fight. The advantage that we do have is that we have better armor and better weapons, and normally better stats, but in this case we do not have that. So we're going to need to find a softer target and then come back and hit it when it is not going to be ready for us. Seems that the stone camp is going to be the closest target of opportunity for us to take down. It is not very well guarded, and it has a decent knock-on effect on United Cities. Not critical, but yet again, with most of these farms, if you just take one out, you don't really notice. But seeing as we've already taken 2 out already, and if we carry on hitting them, that is going to make quite a big difference to the United Cities' ability to actually defend itself against us. And the other side is, well, taking out slavers is good for the soul, so I have heard, and so is taking down nobles. So every chance that we get, we are going to cause as much damage as we can. We will not be recruiting in here because they would be too slow, and we're going to be going into quite dangerous territory, so they would end up just slowing us down and probably getting themselves killed, which kind of defeats the purpose of trying to save someone if they just die anyway. But we will free most of the humans that we can find. Well, obviously we'll try to free all of them if we have the chance, but we might not get that opportunity. But if we do, obviously that's what we do. We try, we do our best. If they don't want to get freed or any of that fun stuff, then we will just leave them to their fate of starving to death in a cage, because, you know, details it is Kenshi. We will not lose sleep over it. But yeah, that fell super quick. And let's just have a little ganders and see what's going on. Out of everyone that we freed, the only person to decide to follow us is the Scope Man, and he is pretty much invincible. We can try to hit him, but we can't actually land a hit, which is kind of annoying. And then when we try to chase him down, he just runs away, and then when we stop chasing him and we walk away, he just follows us. So we have this immortal goat chasing us about at the moment, and obviously we do not like anything that is not humies at the moment. Hopefully he'll go away at some point, or we have a chance to try and kill him, but like I said, every time we tried, we can't actually attack him. So what we'll do is we'll put Peter, GNU and Dexter onto this, because obviously they are my most dangerous attackers and hopefully would have the best chance. But yeah, just runs, we chase him, try to hit him, and then nothing much. He's really good at juking though. But that's not what's keeping him alive. It's just you can't actually connect to him, then away he goes, and so on and so forth. So if we have a goat man following us later, you know why. It's because we can't actually capture him or kill him, which is quite frustrating. Still no luck. We have managed to make him aggro onto us, and we are trying to attack him, but no damage is going through. And yeah, so we essentially have found an immortal goat man, but we can't have him join us. So hopefully when we leave, he doesn't follow us. Otherwise we're going to have this thing following us that we can't do anything with nor get rid of. But details, away we go. First noticeable effect has kicked in. We have samurai rogues kicking around now. So they're basically like the United Cities soldiers that go about, but the only real difference is their armor's a bit ragtag, and they're very, very quick because they're using lighter armor, so they move quicker. That's about it. But yeah, so we are affecting the United Cities, which obviously is a good thing, and we just keep pushing and hopefully we can start crippling them a bit more. Port North is going to be the last target of choice, so we are going to head in, see what we can wipe out, which is going to be all of it because our guys are way better than these mingy old slavers and oxygen thieves. So we're just going to go in, wipe them out, see what we can do and get as much done as possible. We'll try to free a bunch of people. If they decide to join us, we can't really take them with us, so if they do, we'll just send them back to the base. If they can make it, then they have the right to join. If not, well, then they weren't strong enough to make it anyway. And then the other side is, if they just want to stay in the cages, we will leave them there. We are not going out of our way to try to rescue everyone if they don't want to be saved. Those that want to be saved will be, those that don't, not a massive issue. But yeah, we are a little bit too, I wouldn't say too powerful, but we are pretty powerful taking out these slavers. They are a little bit lower level than us now, and we have far better numbers than they have. But I still think one of the towns is going to be a bit of an issue. But that being said, we are not too far away from Bark, and Bark is quite a small town, so maybe after we attack here we'll go follow the coast round and then come down and hit Bark from the north. Well, we won't go through the north because you can't get through it because of the gate, but details, if we head that way then we can at least take out one of the United Cities towns, and we have found the noble. We should be able to one-hit them, I reckon. Yeah, that's with Peter, so Peter should be able to get in, get one attack off, and that really does look like a May 2 crossbow. Alright, sweet. We have taken down the noble, so the town is now done. We just want to finish off the noble guard so they don't heal her back up if she isn't dead. I think she should be, but if she's not, you know, just make sure everyone else is dead, and then they can't save her. And I would say that is pretty much Port North done. There'll be a handful of resistance, we just got to go clear a couple of the buildings. And for something that is so shiny, I'm surprised that that is shoddy grade. But details, she'll have a May 2 Wizawaki, which will be a nice addition to us. Port North fell pretty quickly, so we don't need to worry about that. We are moving on. The noble's dead. All of the slavers are killed off. Hopefully there obviously will be a couple people in recovery camps and that, but we can't really do too much about that at the moment, which is a slight shame. All the slaves that we could free didn't want to join us. Most of them stayed in their cages, so they are pretty much by themselves, other than the one that GNU has. This is a juggernaut that GNU has picked up. Not necessarily wanting the Juggernaut to join us because that would be super broken and overpowered even at this point in the game, but I don't know, GNU just kind of didn't want to leave one of their own behind, so it's being taken with us. So we'll see, we'll let them free somewhere where they will actually stand a chance. In the desert full of skimmers and all those nasties, not a particularly nice place to be left. First United Cities town that we are going to be able to attack, and this is Bark. Bark doesn't have the craziest amount of defenders, there are still quite a lot of them, and some of them do have very respectable stats, but if we don't start making moves now, we are going to be running all over the place trying to put places down and take them out. So I figured Bark on the way, it's not too heavily defended, and it will be a good gauge to see how we do. If we get beaten back from Bark, we know we are a long way away from being able to take one of the larger United Cities towns. Alternatively, if we can go in and we can take Bark, we know that by the time we take out the extra slave farms and slave mines, we are going to be in a pretty good situation to wipe out the last towns of the United Cities. It is looking like we are going to be able to take Bark, but there are a few guys in here who are putting up a bit of a fight. More of a fight than we expected. Bog is down, but Bog is only an adult now, soon to be an elder, and then will be even more dangerous and scary because Bog the Terror. Bog is actually pretty good. Bog does a lot of damage and also carries quite a lot of supplies for us, so always happy to see Bog. But yeah, some of these guys like Masterwork Kit is obviously a little bit of a tough thing to crack. Tough nut, that's the one I'm looking for. Tough nut to crack. So we just got to keep an eye, make sure that, well, we can't really make sure of much, just ideally focus them down when we have the opportunity, but then we don't want lots of our guys fighting them and then not paying attention to everyone else and then we get overrun. But it looks like from how we went in, it was quite good. We have split their numbers. The ones that are coming in, we are dealing with fast enough that they don't start stacking, and then there is too many to fight. And as always, there's always a dog on the wall. They just hunt down crossbows like nobody's business. I would take my chances on the street than on a crossbow trying to take down one of the bone dogs, especially if Dexter shows up. You are in for a bad time. Flint has gone down as well, so we just got Peter to pick him up, and there just seems to be continuously more and more of the United Cities showing up. So I'm thinking that our best chance so far is, so long as we can deal with them before they can stack, and there's a lot of them and we get overrun, we are in a okay situation to fight towns. But then again, Bark is only a small town and doesn't have a very big garrison. But say if we looked at somewhere like Stowe, Heft or Heng that are larger towns with larger garrisons, I think this would turn out very, very different. Our Juggernauts and Dexter can cause a lot of damage, but then they also have a lot of bleed weapons which are absolutely brutal against our animals, well, against the doggos. And obviously we don't want the dogs going down because they are some of our biggest damage dealers, whereas all of the humans, strangely enough, seem to be more tanks and just tying people up. So Peter, Gnu, Midnight, Dexter, Bog do a lot of the heavy lifting, whereas the other guys kind of tarp it and can do a lot of damage against people, but they're not really what they're there for. But what we are going to do is we're just going to go around and just wipe out everyone that is left, so we can prove a point to United Cities that they cannot defend their own, and I think that's the only right thing to do, really, isn't it? And it is time to start a bar brawl again. I wonder how many people will aggro in, and it doesn't seem like too many. We've got a couple guards, and are the United Cities heroes coming in? No. Okay, we'll deal with them in a sec, but more people are starting to get involved. The drifters are now getting in, and this is going to be a very, very one-sided fight. The body's already piling up super quick. Always feel bad, as soon as these fights go indoors, people are in a world of hurt. Any Shek have to be wiped out, Bugmen have to be wiped out, Skelly Boys have to be wiped out, and then anyone that has any affiliation with the United Cities, I think that is only fair that we take them out because, well, it's the United Cities. You made your choice, you chose wrong, and for that you are going to be taken down. And I didn't even notice that was a skeleton right there. And we kill off the barman, you know. After this someone might want a drink, and you know, we just gotta make life as uncomfortable as possible. And it would seem that that is pretty much everyone dead. Yeah, bars. Yeah, when we show up to a bar, it's pretty much like trying to go to a wedding in Game of Thrones. It's a very bad time for a lot of people. That is now a Bark wiped out, and with that we need to bring the episode to the end.